guys, Super FPV here, and before we start with this video, remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and let's get on into it. So today's video is all about FPV drone audio, why you should have it, why you should need it, and all the fixins. I'll talk about everything about drone audio. So let's get on into it. So with drone audio, usually what you do is you take this little plug right here from a microphone or from a pair of headphones that you like, and you plug it into the bottom of your goggles, and bada boom, bada bam, you've got drone audio. But it's not as simple because you need to have drone audio in your quad, like a microphone in your quad. In order for it to be able to actually pick up audio and submit it to your goggles and then to your ears. So we're going to talk about that. So what do you need for you to get drone audio into your ears through your goggles? Primarily what you need is either an FPV cam that has a microphone built into it, a VTX that has a microphone built into it, or a VTX that has IRC tramp or smart audio wire or like pad on there that you can solder a microphone onto, or it has a dedicated audio wire that you can solder a microphone onto. I believe those are like the few limited ways that you can actually get a microphone attached to your quad, so you can actually hear it through a dedicated headphones on your through your goggles. So in terms of VTX recommendations, I'll put a recommendation for a VTX and microphone combo in the description. It's one that I use for two of my quads, my long range one and my main freestyle one. I use it on that, and I highly recommend that combo. The audio is really nice, really crisp, really clear. It has a small wind filter on there, so you won't be hearing that much wind noise as well. I'll put that in the description as well. So there are two main types of microphones, one steady gain and one auto gain. I highly recommend auto gain and don't quite that much recommend steady gain. So let me explain the difference between the two. Steady gain microphones, they are exactly what it says, steady gain. It will maintain the volume that it's at, regardless of whether or not the audio that it receives is super loud or super quiet. So in quiet times, it'll be the same volume as when your quad's actually super high, ramping up and screaming. It'll be the same volume, and which can be really annoying when you're flying and you just hear like muffled and terrible audio because your quad's screaming. Versus what I have on all my quads is our auto gain microphones, where the volume is adjusted based on the volume that's receiving. So if it's super quiet and idle on the ground, the volume will be increased based on that. And when the quad's super loud and screaming and the props are screaming and everything, it'll adjust the audio gain down. That way it's more subtle for your ears, and you can hear much more of a clear audio. The microphones that I have listed have a wind filter. That way it filters out the wind and it's not super muddy and gross. It'll sound decent. There's limitations with these microphones. Air will still get in because you are flying at like 60 miles an hour. So there will be wind noise, but it'll be clearer on the ones with the wind filter than without. So in terms of actually getting audio into your ears, I recommend this one. This is Mr. Steele's Ethics branded, mustache branded monopole or mono ear couplet headphone thing. I don't know what to call it, but this is great. It actually gives you a signal with two poles, like both the right and left channel, but it kind of compresses into one wire, into one earbud. So you can hear your ambience on the right ear or left ear, and then you can hear the actual drone audio on the other ear. That's how I suggest it. You can also just take a pair of old earpods and then just slap it on there. You could do anything you want. You can actually take ginormous big honking Beats if you want, or like actual great audio equipment as well if you want, and plug it in. It'll work. Everything will work as long as it has 3.5 millimeter jack. You're golden. So yeah, that's what I recommend in terms of audio equipment. I will link Mr. Steele's Ethics branded headphones in the description if you actually want to buy this one. It's great. I recommend it, and my autofocus is not working properly, but I recommend this one. So I'll link that in the description. You guys can use whatever old pair that you have lying around, and that will work perfectly fine as well. Yeah. So the first reason I recommend actually having drone audio is because you want to give your body or your brain that extra information, so you can have more of a precise response, or like a more of a quicker response, because you're giving your brain that extra information from your ears, as well as from your eyes, because your goggles are actually emitting video as well. And I feel like that's very important. The delay in the audio from the quad without actually having it submitted through your goggles and through your VTX is super delayed. And if you solely or if your body or your brain actually gets that delayed audio, that can actually sort of mess your flight up. Let's say you're diving down and you hear, or you see visually that you need to pull up, and you pull up and you don't hear the fact that you pulled up as fast as you expected to, because you're sort of far away and sound travels super slow. Then you end up kind of messing yourself up a little bit, orientation wise. You kind of feel kind of disoriented for a second, because you're just like, wait a second, wasn't it supposed to, when I supposed to actually hear the motor spool up, like what's going on here? And then it'll take you a little bit to actually get back to being oriented properly. So giving your brain that extra sense, that extra bit of information, helps your body actually, or your brain to actually send out signals to your fingers to respond properly, and it just overall is just a cleaner signal for your body, so you can fly more appropriately. I feel like this is very important in freestyle, because sometimes people actually fly relatively far away for freestyle, or sometimes people are actually doing like super deep and intricate moves, where audio might actually really help in pulling out of sketchy situations, pulling away from sketchy situations, or giving the right amount of throttle. That's a very important thing. Putting in the right amount of throttle is really important with drone audio, because you're able to actually hear the drone actually respond to your throttle inputs much faster through this, versus if you were to actually hear it through just through the environment as the sound travels through your ears from wherever distance that you're at. And next, on to my next one, speaking of distance, for long range flights, I highly suggest you have drone audio, because once you're far out, it's really hard for you to hear certain certain quads, especially if you're flying a 7-inch like I do now for long range. Though that quad is quiet, and having that drone audio is very helpful, because then you can actually hear what's going on with the quad, especially for far away flights and everything. You can again go back to like the hearing the throttle and hearing everything precisely, so you can put precise stick movements and everything. I just overall think for long range you definitely need audio on your VTX, emitting out to your goggles and into your ears, because you can actually have audio. Just you can actually hear the quad like you're meant to. And last but not least, I believe the third main reason that you should actually have drone audio, so you can hear if there's anything wrong with your quad. And that's just it. That's just an easy way to diagnose your quad mid-flight. If you hear anything that's different, out of the ordinary, you'll know pretty easily, and you'll know to land before anything gets worse. So that's the third reason. There was a time where I crashed, and then I turtle moded it, so I flipped it over, and then I started flying again, but then I realized there was something actually wrong with the audio. It just kind of felt weird. I felt like something was rubbing up on something. I landed it back, and turns out my prop was actually, or my battery was actually kind of slightly bent like this way, and it was actually rubbing slightly, like my propeller was actually rubbing slightly on the battery. And if I would have let that actually go a little bit longer, the battery lipo cell would have actually been pierced a little bit, and things would have ended pretty badly. That's one of the beneficial things about drone audio. You can actually hear if there's something wrong with your quad, if the props are bent, or if there's something rubbing on the prop, or if there's something wrong with it. You can hear it, and that's a very beneficial thing to have, a beneficial ability to have. That way you can prevent anything bad from happening to your quad or to your flying experience. And that about concludes this video. Thank you so much for watching. Again, I recommend drone audio. So thank you so much for watching. Remember to leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.